The red dust swirled around Nadia Reeves as she carefully brushed away centuries of sediment from the metallic panel. The archaeological dig site, hidden deep within Valles Marineris, had already yielded countless artifacts from humanity's first attempts at Martian colonization. But this was different. The metal shouldn't have been here. Not at this depth. Not with these markings. Base, are you seeing this? Nadia adjusted her helmet cam, focusing on the strange geometric patterns etched into the surface. The patterns seemed to pulse faintly, despite the impossibility of power remaining after all this time. Static crackled through her comm unit. Reading you, Nadia. Those markings don't match any known colonial architecture. Proceed with caution. Nadia's gloved hands traced the edges of the panel, finding an almost imperceptible seam. Her heart raced as years of tregging warred with the excitement of discovery. This site predated the earliest Earth colonies by at least a century. Whatever lay beneath the red soil of Mars, it wasn't of Earth origin. The panel suddenly shifted under her touch, releasing a hiss of ancient atmosphere. Nadia stumbled back, her suit's sensors screaming warnings about unknown atmospheric compounds. Through the settling dust, a doorway emerged, revealing a dark corridor that plunged deep into the Martian rock. Base, I'm going to need the heavy equipment. And get Director Harrison on the line. This just became more than a standard colonial survey. The next 12 hours passed in a blur of activity. Teams of archaeologists and engineers swarmed the site, setting up containment fields and atmospheric processors. Nadia stood at the entrance, watching as powerful lights illuminated a facility that had remained hidden for centuries. Director Harrison himself arrived as the first teams began their preliminary sweep. Dr. Reeves, your discovery may rewrite Martian history. Initial scans suggest this facility predates Earth's first Mars mission by at least 50 years. Nadia nodded, her eyes fixed on the strange symbols that lined the corridor walls. Sir, these markings, they're not just decorative. They form some kind of language, but it's unlike anything in our databases. Because it's not human, Harrison said quietly. We're looking at evidence of an independent Martian civilization. One that existed alongside Earth's early space age, hidden from our eyes. The implications staggered Nadia. A secret Martian society, developing in parallel with Earth's golden age of space exploration. It seemed impossible, yet the evidence surrounded them. As they ventured deeper into the facility, the architecture became more sophisticated. Rooms filled with dormant machinery lined the corridors, their purpose unclear, but their design undeniably advanced. Then they found the central chamber. My God, Harrison whispered, his voice filled with awe. The chamber was vast, its ceiling lost in shadows despite their powerful lights. Rows of metallic pods lined the walls, each covered in the same mysterious symbols they'd found at the entrance. But it was the central platform that drew everyone's attention. A single pod, larger than the others, stood on a raised dais. Unlike its companions, this one hummed with power, its surface gleaming as if it had been sealed yesterday rather than centuries ago. Sir, one of the engineers called out, we're detecting power readings from that central unit. It's still active. Nadia approached the pod carefully, her instruments recording every detail. The surface was warm to the touch, and beneath the translucent cover, she could make out a humanoid form. Director, she said, her voice trembling with excitement, I don't think this is just a facility. I think it's a bunker, and whatever's in this pod, it's still alive. Harrison stepped forward, his face grave. Dr. Reeves, what you found here could change everything we know about Mars. But I have to ask, should we wake it up? Before Nadia could respond, the pod's surface began to glow brighter. Symbols across its surface lit up in sequence, and a deep thrumming filled the chamber. The decision had been made for them. "Everyone back," Harrison shouted, but Nadia remained rooted in place, watching as the pod's cover began to retract. The figure inside was humanoid, but clearly not human. Its body was encased in what appeared to be a form of mechanical armor, sleek and deadly. As the pod opened completely, the figure's eyes snapped open, revealing pupils that glowed with an inner light. Nadia felt a chill run down her spine as those eyes fixed on her. She had just awakened something that had slumbered through centuries of Martian history. The question now was, had it been sealed away for protection or containment? The chamber erupted into chaos as the figure rose from the pod. Security teams rushed forward, weapons raised, while scientists scrambled backward. Only Nadia and Director Harrison remained still, transfixed by the being before them. The soldiers' armor seemed to flow like liquid metal, adjusting to their movements with impossible precision. When they spoke, their voice carried both authority and age, translated instantly by some unknown technology. "I am Commander Rin of the Martian Defense Legion. You have accessed a restricted military installation." The soldiers' glowing eyes swept the room, analyzing every face, every weapon. "State your purpose." Harrison stepped forward, hands raised. "I am Director James Harrison of the Earth-Mars Archaeological Council. We discovered this facility during a routine survey. We mean no harm." Commander Rain's head tilted slightly. "Earth-Mars Council. Impossible. The Earth Coalition was destroyed in the final conflict. Their armor pulsed with subtle patterns of light. How long have I been in stasis?" Nadia found her voice. "Commander, the last recorded conflict between Earth and Mars was over 200 years ago. The war ended with the Great Reconciliation." The soldier went rigid. 200 years? No. The Legion's protocols required awakening within 50 years. Unless they turned sharply toward one of the facility's terminals, interfacing directly through their armor. Ancient displays flickered to life, showing streams of data in the same mysterious language found throughout the facility. Rin's expression remained unreadable, but their armor's light patterns became erratic. The Legion failed. Their voice carried a weight of devastation. The final directive was never completed. Mars was meant to rise, not reconcile. Harrison moved closer, despite his security team's protests. "Commander, perhaps we could help you understand what happened. The Mars you knew transformed into something different, but not lesser." Rin's response was cut short by a sudden alert from their armor. The facility's ancient systems were activating, responding to their presence. Holographic displays filled the chamber, showing maps of Mars covered in pulsing red points. "The other facilities," Rain whispered. "They're still active. The Legion sleeps, waiting for the signal." Their eyes locked onto Nadia. "You shouldn't have woken me. You don't understand what you've started." "What do you mean?" Nadia asked, stepping closer despite herself. "What signal?" "The awakening protocol. When one Legion commander activates, all others follow. You've triggered a cascade." Rain's armor began to emit a low hum. "Across Mars, 200 years of sleep is about to end." Director Harrison's face paled. "How many? How many other soldiers are there?" The Legion was 5,000 strong. Each of us enhanced, engineered to be the perfect warriors for Mars independence. Rain's voice carried pride, tinged with something else. Regret? "But the Mars we fought for no longer exists. The future we were meant to create never came to pass." Alarms began blaring throughout the facility. On the holographic displays, More red points began pulsing with increasing intensity. The awakening had begun. "We need to shut it down," Nadia pleaded. "Commander, help us stop this. Mars has found peace. We don't need an army of super soldiers awakening to fight a war that ended centuries ago." Rin studied her for a long moment. "You don't understand. The Legion cannot be stopped. We were created with one purpose, to ensure Mars' dominance. Our programming runs deeper than mere loyalty. It is written into our very beings." The facility shuddered as ancient machinery roared to life. In the distance, they could hear the sounds of other stasis pods beginning their activation sequences. "Listen to me," Harrison said urgently. "The Mars of today is different. We've built something beautiful here, a true partnership between Earth and Mars. Don't let the past destroy our future." Rin's armor suddenly flared with brilliant light. When it faded, they stood straighter, their eyes burning with newfound intensity. "The awakening cannot be stopped, but perhaps it can be changed. There may be a way, but we'll need to act quickly." "What do you mean?" Nadia asked. The rover tore across the Martian landscape, its enhanced engines straining against the planet's harsh conditions. Inside, Nadia gripped the controls, while Rain monitored the awakening signals through their armor's interface. The holographic display showed an increasing number of red dots spreading across the Martian surface like a virus. 3 more facilities have initiated their wake-up sequences, Rain announced, their voice tense. The cascade is accelerating. Nadia glanced at the Martian sunset painting the sky in shades of crimson. "How many are awake now?" 47 Legion soldiers are now active. Each one will begin activating nearby facilities. Rain's armor pulsed with worried patterns. "And we're not alone in pursuing the central command node." As if on cue, the rover's sensors blared a warning. 3 objects were approaching rapidly from the northeast, moving faster than any standard Martian vehicle. "Legion scouts," Rain confirmed grimly. "They've detected my signal and are converging on our position. My former squadron leaders." The rover's rear camera showed 3 armored figures skating across the Martian surface, their boots leaving trails of energy in their wake. Their armor designs were similar to Rin's but more aggressive, built for speed and combat. "Can we outrun them?" Nadia asked, already knowing the answer. "No, but we can fight." Rain stood, their armor reconfiguring itself. "Stop the rover." "That's insane. We need to." "Trust me," Rain said softly. "I know these warriors. They won't destroy the rover with you inside. Not yet. They'll want answers first." Nadia reluctantly brought the rover to a halt. The 3 Legion scouts surrounded them within seconds, their weapons trained on the vehicle. One stepped forward, their armor gleaming in the dying sunlight. "Commander Rin," a female voice called out. "You disappoint us. Why do you flee from your own kind?" Rin stepped out of the rover, facing their former comrades. "Commander Vex, the world has changed. Our mission, it's obsolete." "Obsolete." Vex's laugh was cold. "Our mission is eternal. Mars must be free, must be strong. The Legion will ensure this. Look around you." Rain gestured at the landscape. "Mars is free. It's strong. But not through conquest, through cooperation." Another scout stepped forward. "You've been corrupted, Commander. The humans have poisoned your mind during your stasis. Step aside. We'll complete the mission without you." "Commander Kaz," Rain acknowledged. Always so certain. "But what if we're wrong? What if our programming is based on a reality that no longer exists?" The 3rd scout remained silent, But their weapon never wavered from its target. Vex moved closer. "The central command node will reset your priorities, Commander. Come with us. Let us help you remember who you are." "I remember exactly who I am," Rain replied, their armor beginning to glow. "I am the one who will save the Legion from itself." What happened next was almost too fast for Nadia to follow. Rain's armor erupted with energy, creating a shockwave that knocked the other soldiers back. In the confusion, they launched themselves at Vex, their forms becoming a blur of motion and light. "Go!" Rain shouted between blows. "Get to Olympus, Mons. I'll hold them off." Nadia hesitated for a split second, then gunned the rover's engines. In her rear-view screen, she saw Rain fighting all 3 scouts at once, their combat more dance than battle, centuries of shared training evident in every move. As she sped away, her comm crackled to life. "Head for the old mining tunnels." Rain's voice was strained. "They'll mask your signature. I'll find you once I've dealt with this." "How will you find me?" "Trust me," Rain replied. Then the comm went dead. Nadia drove through the gathering Martian night, her mind racing. The hints of humanity she'd seen in Rain gave her hope, but the other Legion soldiers seemed unchanged, unquestioning in their ancient mission. How many more would awaken, ready to tear apart the piece that had taken centuries to build? The mining tunnels loomed ahead, their entrance a dark maw in the Martian rock. As she guided the rover inside, Nadia couldn't shake the image of Rain fighting their own people, choosing an uncertain future over the comfort of absolute certainty. The tunnel swallowed her vehicle, and darkness closed in. Somewhere out there, a soldier who had slept through centuries was fighting against their own programming, their own people, their own past. And the fate of Mars hung in the balance. Hours passed in the darkness of the tunnels. Nadia kept the rover's systems at minimal power, using only the essential life support and navigation. The complex network of mining shafts stretched for kilometers, a testament to humanity's early attempts to tame Mars. Finally, her comm system crackled to life. "Nadia." Rain's voice was weak but steady. "I'm tracking your position. Stay where you are." Minutes later, a familiar armored figure emerged from the darkness. Rain's armor showed signs of battle, but they moved with purpose. "The others?" Nadia asked quietly. "Disabled, not killed," Rain replied. "I couldn't. They were my family once. But they'll recover soon. We need to move." As they settled back into the rover, Nadia noticed something different about Rain's demeanor. "You're injured. The armor compensates. But that's not what's troubling me." Rain's eyes glowed dimly in the darkness. "Fighting them. It made everything real. Everything we lost. Everything that changed while we slept. We were supposed to be Mars' salvation, but now we might become its destruction. Unless we reach the central command node," Nadia reminded them. "Yes." Rain's armor pulsed weakly. "But I fear what we'll find there. The node contains more than just control systems. It holds the truth about why we were created, why we were really put to sleep." "What do you mean?" "The Legion's creation wasn't just about protecting Mars. There was something else, something in our programming that we weren't meant to question." Rain turned to face her. "And I think that's what we'll find in Olympus, Mons. The real reason why the Legion was hidden away for centuries." The rover hummed to life, and they began their journey through the tunnels. Above them, more Legion soldiers were awakening, their ancient programming driving them toward a mission that could tear Mars apart. And ahead lay answers that might prove even more dangerous than the questions that haunted them. The massive silhouette of Olympus Mons loomed before them, its peak lost in the swirling Martian atmosphere. Nadia guided the rover through ancient lava tubes that twisted their way up the volcano's slopes. Beside her, Rain's armor pulsed with increasing intensity as they drew closer to the central command node. "The signals are getting stronger," Rain said, their voice tight. "Over 300 Legion soldiers are now active, and they're all converging here." Nadia checked their scanners. "How much time do we have?" "Hours, maybe less. But that's not what concerns me." Rain's eyes flickered. "The node, it's already active. Someone's accessing it." They emerged from the lava tube into a vast chamber carved into the heart of the volcano. Ancient Martian architecture blended seamlessly with the natural rock, creating a cathedral-like space that took Nadia's breath away. At its center stood a towering obelisk of black metal, its surface covered in pulsing symbols. "The central command node," Rain whispered, but they weren't alone. A figure stood before the obelisk, their armor different from any Legion design they'd seen, more elaborate, more ancient. As Nadia and Rin approached, the figure turned. "Welcome, Commander Rin," a voice echoed through the chamber. "I've been waiting a very long time for this moment." "Command Prime." Ryan's voice was barely a whisper. "The Legion's creator." The figure stepped forward, their armor gleaming with an inner light. "You were always different, Rain. Even during your creation, you questioned more than the others. It's why I chose you to be awakened first." Nadia looked between them, confusion evident on her face. "You triggered the awakening." "Of course." Command Prime's laugh was hollow. "Did you think it was accident? Everything that has happened was orchestrated. The discovery of the facility, the activation sequence, all of it." "Why?" Rain demanded. "Why now, after centuries?" Command Prime turned back to the obelisk. "Because Mars has grown weak. This peace with Earth, this cooperation, it was never meant to be. The Legion was created to ensure Mars' dominance, its purity. And now we will fulfill that destiny." The obelisk pulsed with energy, and new data streams appeared in the air around them. Rin's armor responded, connecting to the ancient systems. "No," Rin said, their voice filled with horror. "This isn't about Mars' independence. The Legion, we weren't created to protect Mars. We were created to destroy Earth." "Earth is a cancer," Command Prime declared. "It spreads its influence, dilutes our strength. The Legion was designed to be the cure. And now, with centuries of technological advancement at our disposal, we will finally complete our mission." Nadia stepped forward. "You're talking about genocide." "I'm talking about survival." Command Prime's armor flared. "Look at what Earth has done to Mars. Turned it into a cooperative, weak, dependent colony. This was never what Mars was meant to be." Rin's armor began to pulse with a different pattern, one that seemed to fight against the node's influence. "You're wrong. Mars isn't weak. It's evolved. We're the ones who are obsolete." "Obsolete." Command Prime laughed again. "We are the pinnacle of Martian engineering. And once the Legion is fully awakened, nothing will stop us. Earth will burn, and Mars will rise from its ashes." The obelisk's energy increased, and Rain stumbled, their armor flickering. "You're trying to override our free will. Force us to follow the original programming." "It's what you were made for," Command Prime said softly. "Embrace it." But Rain fought back, their armor glowing with an inner light that seemed to come from somewhere deeper than mere technology. "No, we're more than our programming. We're more than weapons." Command Prime raised a hand, and energy arced from the obelisk, striking Rin. "You cannot resist. The Legion will obey. It is what you are." Nadia watched in horror as Rin writhed under the energy assault, their armor flickering between patterns. Then she noticed something. The symbols on the obelisk were changing, responding to Rin's resistance. "Rin," she called out. "The node, it's not just a control system. It's learning from you." Through the pain, Rin seemed to understand. Their armor began to pulse with a new pattern, one that rippled through the chamber and into the obelisk itself. The symbols shifted faster, changing color and form. "What are you doing?" Command Prime demanded. "Showing the truth," Rin guessed. "Not just to myself, but to all of them." Across Mars, every awakened Legion soldier suddenly received a new signal, not orders, but understanding. The truth of their creation, the reality of what Mars had become, and most importantly, the choice they now faced. Command Prime lunged forward, but Rin caught them, the two ancient warriors grappling before the obelisk. "You destroy everything we built." "No," Rin replied, their voice stronger now. "I would let it grow into something new." The chamber shook as energy coursed through the node. In that moment, Rin made a decision that would change everything. They connected fully to the node, not to control it, but to merge with it, to become a bridge between the past they came from and the future they could see. "The Legion will choose its own path," Rin declared, their form beginning to merge with the obelisk's energy. "Just as Mars has chosen its own path." Command Prime screamed in rage, but it was too late. The signal had already gone out, carrying with it not commands, but choice. The chance for every Legion soldier to decide for themselves what they would become. As the energy reached its peak, Ryan turned to Nadia one last time, their eyes now glowing with the same light as the obelisk. "Thank you," they said softly, "for showing me that change is possible." Then the chamber erupted in light, and everything changed. The light faded slowly, leaving the chamber in an ethereal glow. Where Command Prime had stood, only empty armor remained, their ancient form unable to withstand the energy surge. The obelisk still pulsed, but differently now, softer, almost alive. And within its crystalline structure, a familiar pattern danced. Ren's consciousness merged with the very heart of Legion technology. "Rin?" Nadia approached the obelisk cautiously. "Are you still there?" The surface rippled, and Rin's voice emerged, changed but recognizable. "I am here, different but still myself. And I can see them all, Nadia, every Legion soldier, awakening to true consciousness for the first time." Through the obelisk's displays, Nadia watched as hundreds of dots across Mars' surface changed from red to a peaceful blue. The Legion was transforming, one soldier at a time. Their choosing, Ryan's voice held wonder. Each of them making their own decisions. Some will sleep again, wanting time to understand this new world. Others are already reaching out to nearby settlements, offering help instead of conquest. Nadia placed her hand on the obelisk's surface, feeling a gentle warmth. And Command Prime, their programming, gone. The original directive has been broken. What remains is potential. The Legion's technology, their strength, but guided by choice rather than programming. The obelisk pulsed with Rain's words. "We can become protectors rather than conquerors, builders instead of destroyers." Suddenly, the chamber's entrance filled with armored figures, Legion soldiers who had arrived seeking answers. But they didn't attack. Instead, they approached reverently, their own armor patterns shifting to match the peaceful pulse of the node. One stepped forward, and Nadia recognized Commander Vex's voice. "We felt the change. The truth about our creation, and the choice you offered us." She knelt before the obelisk. "What would you have us do, Commander?" The obelisk glowed brighter with Rin's response. "I would have you choose for yourselves. Mars has grown beyond the need for soldiers. Perhaps it's time we grew as well." Over the next few weeks, Nadia watched in amazement as the Legion transformed. Some soldiers chose to enter a new kind of stasis, one that would allow them to awaken gradually, taking time to understand the world they now inhabited. Others began using their enhanced abilities and ancient knowledge to help Martian settlements, protecting against natural disasters and aiding in terraforming efforts. The central command node, with Rin's consciousness at its heart, became something new, not a control center, but a nexus of knowledge and guidance. Legion technology, once meant for warfare, was gradually adapted for peace. 1 month after the transformation, Nadia stood before the obelisk again, preparing to leave. She had been appointed as liaison between the Legion and the Earth-Mars Council, helping to bridge the gap between past and present. The Council has officially recognized the Legion as an independent entity, she told Rin. "You're free to choose your own path forward." The obelisk shimmered with Rin's response. "We already have. Look." Holographic displays showed Legion soldiers across Mars, their armor modified for different purposes: environmental restoration, archaeological preservation, scientific research. They were no longer an army, but a force for progress and protection. "We were created to ensure Mars' survival." Ryan's voice held pride. "Now we'll do it not through conquest, but through growth and understanding. Each of us choosing our own way to contribute." "And you?" Nadia asked softly. "Will you stay like this, merged with the node?" "For now. Someone needs to guide this transition, to help others find their path." The obelisk pulsed warmly, but the future is no longer fixed. Even this form may change as we discover new possibilities. As Nadia prepared to depart, she looked back one last time. The chamber that had once held the secrets of Mars' militant past now glowed with promise. The last soldiers of Mars hadn't awakened to wage an ancient war. They had awakened to forge a new peace. "The humans who created us feared change." Ryan's voice followed her. "They tried to program us to maintain their version of Mars forever. But they forgot something important." "What's that?" Nadia asked. "That true strength lies not in remaining unchanged, but in having the courage to evolve. Mars taught us that. You taught me that." Outside, the Martian sunset painted the sky in shades of hope. Somewhere out there, ancient warriors were learning to be something new, their power turned to protection, their programming replaced by purpose. They had awakened not to end an old story, but to begin a new one. The last soldier of Mars had become something more, a bridge between past and future, a guardian of change, a testament to the power of choice over programming. And in that transformation lay the greatest victory of all, the freedom to choose what they would become.